Kelly is in the front row there. He's a chartered accountant and a solicitor. Yeah. Now you're in the property game as well.
I am indeed. Well, I'm disappointed to hear, I suppose, even in the opening, that the blaming of another profession, namely solicitors. And I want to emphasise, I am first and foremost a taxpayer as well, and I'm equally concerned, as are all solicitors, when we hear about problems in title being transferred to NAMA or otherwise, and the cost that will have, because ultimately this reflects on me as a taxpayer. But it is also very important to highlight that in general this system did work, and the flaws that are being highlighted now, to make comments that you refer to, like solicitors gave false undertakings. Yeah. Well, that's what
Brendan McDonough said.
Well, that's not what he said.
I really don't think he did.
That's not what he said at all. He did not say that they gave false undertakings.
Not at all.
There's a very big difference between flaws in title or otherwise and giving false undertakings. What hasn't been emphasised here is
you're cavilling on the ninth part of a hair. If you supply information to me about a title that is wrong.
If it is wrong, and this is the point that is being made, if it is wrong, it falls on the solicitor. The solicitor is personally liable for any undertaking that is given. So it is absolutely not in his interests to ride roughshod or
can I just come back on this, Pat? I mean, I think there's actually a false basis for a lot of what you're promoting here tonight, and it is in terms of what Brendan McDonough actually said. I read very carefully what he said to the Finance Committee of the Dáil last week. I read it several times. He did not specifically criticise the legal profession or lawyers. He criticised the banks for their absence of their security.
Do you want me to quote Judge Peter Kelly from the Commercial Court and what he said?
Well, Pat, I was in the Commercial Court when Justice Peter Kelly made the comments that I think you're going to refer to in relation to AIB and the amount of lending that was given out on foot of that undertaking.
Yeah.
That, without boring the audience here, that was made in a particular context. What should be noted is, if there is a problem in the undertaking that is given, there's a world of a difference between that and the value of the security. Most undertakings can be remedied afterwards, and if they can't be, it falls on the solicitor and his insurance to make up that.
John Burke, you've been listening to this discussion.
I've sat in all these committees. Yeah. I sat there when Mr. Neary came in and told us stress testing is wonderful, our banks are wonderful. I sat there last week for 4 hours when Brendan McDonough came in. And remember, Brendan McDonough was talking, if you like, as a sort of an ordinary, very senior public servant. And he was basically saying in ordinary layman's language, look, the stuff that was going on that we've come across is unbelievable. And going back to Anglo-Irish, remember you're talking about a relatively small group of people. The first 10 developers are in for an average of $1.5 billion each. So that is not the same as, say, an individual buying a house for a low value, where perhaps the solicitor, as you're suggesting, does his best.
Do you believe, Joan, that he was shocked at the undertakings that solicitors take?
And it sounded,
that's a presumption that you're making. That's not what he said.
He was saying, look, we have an incredible mess because this group of developers, each of us was in for $1.5 billion.
Entirely inventing what he said. That was not what he said at all.
Yeah. Pat, I think one of the issues is that, you know, that maybe even with the best advice and the Solicitors Act and they were part of a matrix of people involved. I think what Brendan McDonough's point was that essentially the legal documentation supporting these loans was probably so incomplete, inconsistent.